Now, I'm fine with not knowing where the child porn sites are, because I'm not interested. But the other stuff, perfectly fine for them to show us what's on there. Now, would you trust a government of any persuasion, now or in the future, to block internet sites and not tell you what they are? I certainly wouldn't. Now, some examples of things that have appeared on the refused classification list recently. I've got this off the libertas.net website. We'll put a link up on the Stop Internet Censorship site later on this evening. Some of the things that have appeared on the list and are considered refused classification include the Peaceful Pill Handbook by Dr. Philip Niski, which talks about euthanasia. Now, it's illegal to commit euthanasia, but surely not to talk about it and to discuss the pros and cons of it. There are R18+, or what would be R18+ computer games, but since they couldn't be bothered getting a classification for that, that's considered refused classification. What else have we got? Lots of literary novels, like Defence of the Muslim Land and Join the Caravan. They're banned because they allegedly glorify and instruct about criminal acts, such as terrorism. But they also inform people, and information is important within today's society. There was a page on an overseas site on anti-abortion that was blocked. It was incorrectly classified as refused classification. They came back and looked at it and realised it was R18+. It's still on the list anyway, because R18+ without restricted access controls still ends up on the list. So that's just a few of the things that will appear on there, and who knows what else could be there in the future. Now, we're not here to say that we want child porn to be on the internet. It's abhorrent. It's not necessary, and the thing that we're trying to fight here is that the filter can't and won't protect children. It's not going to help anyone who's being victimised by child pornographers who are doing this. Exactly. Putting our heads in the sand and saying this stuff doesn't exist is like Australia washing its hands of its international responsibility to find these people. Yeah. We have resources that Southeast Asian countries don't have. And we can use those resources and the money they're putting into this filter to go after these people in cooperation with these other countries and get rid of them, stamp it out and protect these children that way. Now, what the filter can be used for is to silence unpopular and anti-government content and opinion, and that's censorship. It's not about having a clean feed, it's about censoring stuff they don't want us to see and we'll never even know about it. Exactly. And just note that just because content is refused classification, you're actually still allowed to hold it. A very interesting section from Australian Law Reform Commission report on, what was it? It was cooperative classification scheme nationally. And they said this in point 5.16. The Commission indicated in the discussion paper that it did not agree that it ought to be an offence to have possession of RC films or RC publications, regardless of their intended use, merely because they are classified RC. Classification is done on the purpose of controlling dissemination. It is not done for the purpose of controlling what a person is able to have in his or her own home. Accordingly, an RC classification does not in itself mean a person cannot possess that material. It does mean that he or she cannot disseminate it. If the possession of the material is to be banned, it should be to achieve some specific policy objective, not just because it has been declared unsuitable for commercial distribution. Banning the possession of material automatically upon it being classified RC would possibly be inconsistent with the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And we said that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, not long ago, street marches in Queensland were illegal under the good old Go days. And imagine if the internet was in its heyday back then. They'd block all the sites regarding any sort of street protesters coming up, and they'd be clamping down on the internet hosts and all that. We don't want to see that happen. It might not happen under the federal government, but 20, 30 years' time, we've got no idea who's going to be in power, and these laws are going to be there, and scope creep can occur. So, what we are saying is that I and you and everyone in this room and every adult within Australia has the right to decide what they think is appropriate for them and for their children. They always say, somebody think of the children. It's Michael Maloney's website, somebody think of the children. But somebody think of the adults. Yes, we should protect our children, but the parents of those children and those whose guardians should be responsible for deciding what they can see and what they can't see. So we will not stand for government censorship of websites it feels is inappropriate. And we will fight this, and we will win this fight. So, on that point, I'd like to wrap up now, and I'm going to hand over to Nick Suzor. Nick